Hello, this is Jamie Mitchell, and we are back with another episode of Libertarian Uncensored podcast, going over all the posts on Libertarian Uncensored subreddit. Let's get right into it. So first we have the black insurrectionist was actually white. The deception did not stop there from RochesterFirst.com by Patom13. And yeah, I do think, that a lot of people on social media aren't what they say they are, and this is another example of that. But with that being said, that's true for people on all sides of the political spectrum, not just the right, and that's what this piece seems to want to make the assertion of that. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Freedom Caucus leader wants North Carolina to preemptively award electoral votes to Trump from USAtoday.com by Swamp Yankee Dan. And this is another Republicans bad piece. The subreddit's all pretty much Republicans bad pieces. But yeah, I don't think you should be preemptively awarding any electoral votes, even with the hurricane damage in the western part of the state. And that's my thoughts there. Then we have Elon Musk has been in regular contact with Putin for 2 years, says report alleged talks between billionaire and Russian president could have enormous security implications from TheGuardian.com by Swamp Yankee Dan. And yeah, I think, if Elon wants to get in contact with Putin, I think he should be able to. I think anyone should be able to freely associate with anyone who they want to. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Elon Musk's pro-Trump PAC awards more than $1 million prizes despite DOJ warning from WashingtonPost.com, and that's across Swamp Yankee Dan, it's across post from the r/law subreddit. And yeah, I heard the Philadelphia district attorney is just going to sue Musk over that, even though I don't think he should have any right to. I think if people want to exchange money for any reasons for whatsoever, they should be able to do so. And it's not even paying people to vote. It's paying people for signing a petition in swing states in support of the First and Second Amendment. It sounds like the left is just pretty much openly against both of those amendments. They've pretty much always been openly against the Second Amendment, but they've been increasingly openly against the First Amendment as well. And that's my thoughts there. And yeah, so Elon should be able to pay whatever people who sign the petition, whatever he wants to. I personally signed the petition, and I would love if Elon paid me, but I don't know if how realistic that is. Then we have Feds say you don't have a right to check out retro video games like library books from Gizmodo.com by Ninja Lover. And yeah, I would disagree with that ruling. I think libraries should have access to whatever resources they want to, and if you want to check them out, the video games, books, movies, etc., I think you should be able to. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Trump explains exactly how the 2024 election was stolen, and that's from CH4 Locks, and they added Hunter's laptop in parentheses, and that's cross-post from TikTok, the TikTok cringe subreddit of him on the Joe Rogan Experience. And he said, I would bring in papers that you would not believe, so many different papers, I just can't with this guy. And yeah, I personally don't know how the election was stolen. I personally think, if Trump should go forward, the more they stole it again from me by lying about Hunter Biden's laptop, even though they knew it was legitimate. They said, oh, it's Russian misinformation. And he'd be right on that, but he always goes on saying fraud, that you just can't, he always says there's fraud, but you never seem to prove there's fraud, even though it's almost certainly exists. But it's a hard thing to prove, especially since we have secret ballot here in the U.S., and that, it's hard to trace votes under that system, I would say. And that's my thoughts there. Then we have our Republicans are lying about voting by non-citizens. They lie, it includes legitimate votes, and sets the stage for Trump to deny the results of the presidential election from HuffPost.com by Donald Key. And yeah, I definitely do think, there is voting by non-citizens. I saw something on Twitter about a non-citizen who said, oh, I'm a non-citizen and I can vote, but I'm gonna vote for Trump. So yeah, I definitely do think it happens, and I do think it's kind of gaslighting that, they say it doesn't happen because it's legal, because, murder's legal and this still happens. But with that being said, I don't know how big it is, but it definitely does happen, I would say. And yeah, it's all on, oh, Trump's going to deny the election results. Well, when the Dems lose, they're going to do the exact same thing. but it's only wrong when Trump does it, and that's it's really just depends who's in the in group and who's in the out group when it comes to some stuff like who won the election, and that's my thoughts there. Then we have, but nobody wants to work anymore from Ragnar OKXG, and that's a poster. It says, if you're unemployed, it's not because there isn't any work. Just look around. Housing shortage, crime, pollution. We need better schools and parks. Whatever our needs, they all require work. And as long as we have unsatisfied needs, there's work to be done. So ask yourself, what kind of world has work but no jobs? It's a world where work is not related to satisfying our needs. A world where work is only related to satisfying the profit needs of businesses. The country was not built by the huge corporations or government bureaucracies. It was built by the people who work, and it is working people who should control the work to be done. Yet as long as employment is tied to somebody else's profits, the work won't get done. And yeah, I think that's kind of goes against the free market. I think people should be able to pay or work for whatever reasons they want to. But I think that's kind of I think if a lot of work is tied to profit, and that's just how it is. If you want to run a nonprofit, I think you should be able to. But this is just kind of saying it. We want the government to run everyone rather than letting people run themselves, I think, and that's my thoughts there. Then we have Victory is Sweet. We can now fix McDonald's ice cream machines from iFixit.com by Frosty Slawman. I remember Donald Trump had just a new tweet about how if you elect him, all the McDonald's ice cream machines are never going to be broken, they're always going to be fixed. So I guess his campaign promise is coming true even before he's elected. It looks like. So yeah, that's my thoughts there. Then we have Taliban minister declares women's voices among women forbidden from MUTV.tv by CH4Locks. And yeah, I don't think that's very good. But I don't like what they're comment on. It is a preview of the coming American theocracy, and I think that's just kind of fear mongering. The U.S. isn't anywhere near Afghanistan levels of, anti-woman, and that's just kind of that's pretty much an objective fact, I would say. Then we have Russian actors made fake video depicting mail-in ballots for Trump being destroyed, FBI says, from APnews.com by Sean Pankey Dan. And yeah, I personally don't think people should lie about the election results, but I think if people do want to make whatever videos they want to, I think they should be able to, and that includes videos that could be considered as misinformation. So I think they should, if they want to be able to do this, I think they should 100% be able to do so, and that's my thoughts on that issue. I think it falls under freedom of expression. Then we have, if anyone ever tries to tell you that the Mises Caucus doesn't have a bigotry problem, it's from Fakertarians on Twitter. It was posted by LegioX, and it says, the tweet was, someone take this man's gummies away, and Thinking West tweet, what's the biggest threat facing Western civilization today? And Dr. Michael Rectenwald, the Mises Caucus candidate for president in 2024, said Judaism. And yeah, I personally think, he's kind of being too openly anti-Semitic. I think if you don't want to like Jews, I think that's fine. And if you want to be openly anti-Semitic, I think that's fine. But, I definitely do think, if you can easily change it to make it sound like into things like globalist or Zionist, instead of just being anti-Jew. I would say, yeah, so that's my thoughts there. Then we have Faced with Trump, Libertarianism Shrugged from thebulwark.com by Paton13, and that's a cross post from the Mo Politics subreddit. And that said, the Libertarian movement should have been one of the first lines of defense against the aspiring autocrat. It voted instead. And yeah, I personally don't really care for how a lot of libertarians, self-proclaimed libertarians, are going for Trump. I don't care how a lot of self-proclaimed libertarians are going for Harris either. I don't think it really matters too much, though. I think the president is mostly just a figurehead, and they're not really the ones running the country. And in the past decade definitely shows that. You had a reality TV star followed by a senile guy in there, and nothing really changed. And yeah, it's the real people who are running the country are the bureaucrats in the alphabet agencies, military industrial complex, big business, it's not the president. The president's mostly just a figurehead, I would say. Then we have Vote Chase Oliver for President 2024 from FunCal321. and it says it's a picture of a dump, and it says less vision for America looks surprisingly like a garbage dump. And I would agree with that. I think the left is only concerned about their own power, just like Trump and the right. That's why you got to, I would say, either go for vote for third parties or not vote or write someone in. Because right now, both sides are really just concerned about nothing but their own power, even though, it really doesn't matter too much, I would say, who's elected to what, because it's the unelected bureaucrats who really run the country, as I said for the previous post. Then we have, so is this subreddit just pro-war now from GW2EHEA 876FHJGRD7MKL, and they said forever war in the Middle East, forever war with Russia and China. I thought that it was universal. Libertarians don't support war, especially foreign wars in far off lands, but I guess I was wrong. I was ever more surprised to be called Russian and conservative, and then later a sock for being anti-war. And yeah, it goes to show you that, a lot of people a lot of people say they're anti-war, but they'll become pro-war if the narrative's good enough. Like a lot of people on the right, they say they're anti-war, but then Israel comes knocking, and they say, "Oh no, we have to fund Israel." And a lot of people on the left say they're anti-war, but then Ukraine comes knocking, and they say, "Oh no, we have to fund Ukraine." So yeah, that's my thoughts. There is, get the U.S. out of that. If people want to voluntarily fund Israel or Ukraine, I think they should be able to do so. But I don't think people should be forced to fund them if they don't want to. And that's my thoughts there. Then we have Illinois' thousands of local governments add to culture of corruption from ChicagoTribune.com by Frosty Slawman. And yeah, I personally think we need a lot as many individualized governments as possible. But with that being said, the Chicago area is full of all its own local governments, and they can contribute to corruption if they're not held accountable. It just goes to show you, it doesn't matter how small or localized government is. If it's not on the individual level, it can be inherently authoritarian. And that's my thoughts there. Then we have, as Trump courts their vote, comedian and Israeli makes racist jokes about Latinos in Puerto Rico from NBCNews.com by Sean McGee. That's crossed from the moderate politics subreddit. It said Tony Hinchcliffe of Kill Tony fame was the opening act of Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden, showed off his unique sense of humor. And he's just jokes where these Latinos love making babies too, just to know what they do. Hinchcliffe said, setting up the just jokes. There's no pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside, just like they did to our country. 4 minutes later, the comedian took a second swing at a key voting block of the community, Puerto Ricans. There's a lot going on. I don't know if you guys know this, that there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. I think it's called Puerto Rico, he said, to a scattering of claps and jeers. And yeah, I don't think that's very good, but the Republican Party is more the edgy party right now. It used to be the Dems were the more edgy party, I would say. But these days it's the Republicans who like making politically incorrect jokes like that. And I think if you want to make politically incorrect jokes, I'm all for comedy, make whatever jokes you want to. Just be aware that it may offend some people. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have, given what the prominent narco-capitalist theoretician Hans Hermann Hoppe has written, this is undeniable from Dirtballs, and that's crossed from the neo-feudalism subreddit. Anarchism necessarily leads to anarcho-royalism. Families amass private property and positions which they want to beneath to someone deserving, such as their children. Some spontaneously rise to the prominent leadership positions, and said family's leadership position and estate can be hereditary royal. And yeah, I personally if people want to form voluntary collectives under a royal system, I think they should be able to, but I don't think they should be forced to do so if they don't want to. And that's my thoughts on that issue. And yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up there. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.